For centuries, national economies have relied on raw materials, iron, copper, oil, coal, as the foundation for wealth, power, and industrial progress. Many countries still depend heavily on mining and the export of unprocessed natural resources. But a new scientific revolution is emerging that could completely transform these traditional economic models. The nanotechnology century. What if, instead of shipping raw bauxite, a country exported advanced graphene membranes, nano-enhanced catalysts, or quantum dots for biomedical diagnostics? This is no longer science fiction. Nanomaterials and nano-devices are now positioned to turn resource-rich nations into global innovation hubs if they invest in research, talent, and manufacturing at the nanoscale. Today, consulting. Nanomaterials are materials engineered at dimensions of 1 to 100 nanometers, so small they are measured in billionths of a meter. At this scale, substances behave differently. Gold becomes red, carbon turns into ultra-strong graphene, and titanium dioxide gains antibacterial properties. These effects are not just curious quirks. They unlock entirely new industrial applications. Nanomaterials can make batteries last longer, solar cells more efficient, water filters more selective, and drugs more targeted. Countries like China, the USA, and South Korea are already leveraging this field with billions in R&D investments, creating a competitive advantage in sectors from electronics to defense. Now imagine countries with rich deposits of silicon, lithium, rare earth metals, or even sand, yes, common sand, sweet-tooling their economies to produce value-added nanomaterials instead of raw exports. Australia, for example, has abundant mineral wealth, but traditionally sends it overseas for processing. However, with domestic nano-manufacturing, Australia could convert its minerals into smart coatings, nano-engineered composites, or advanced semiconductors. Similarly, African nations, like Namibia and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, rich in cobalt and other critical minerals, could leap ahead by building research centers and partnerships focused on nanotechnology innovation, transforming extractive industries into knowledge-driven ecosystems. Does this sound unrealistic? Look at Singapore, a country with almost no natural resources. Through visionary investment in research and education, it now leads in nanotechnology-based biomedical engineering, water purification, and material science. Or consider Israel, which channels military R&D into nanoscale defense technologies and spin-offs in health and agriculture. The key factor? A well-funded and coordinated pipeline from university labs to startups and global-scale manufacturing, groundbreaking research in nano-devices like nanosensors, lab-on-a-chip diagnostics, or nanoelectronics has already shown the potential to create entirely new industries. But how does a country begin this transformation? First, by supporting long-term, curiosity-driven research. Many revolutionary nanotechnologies came from unexpected directions, like carbon nanotubes, discovered while studying arc discharge, or quantum dots arising from basic studies in semiconductor physics. Second, by creating nano-innovation hubs, places where engineers, physicists, chemists, and entrepreneurs can collaborate across sectors. And third, by fostering education in nanoscale science, so that the next generation is not just mining resources, but designing the future devices that shape every aspect of life, from healthcare to clean energy. In conclusion, the nanotech century offers a unique opportunity for resource-rich and innovation-minded countries to leapfrog traditional development paths. By shifting from extraction to invention, from raw materials to nanomaterials, nations can not only boost their economies, but secure strategic independence, environmental sustainability, and global leadership in science and technology. The question is no longer whether nanotechnology will reshape global economies, But which countries will lead this transformation? And which will be left behind? Traditional resource-based economies rely on exporting raw minerals like graphite, silica, or bauxite with minimal processing. Nanotechnology enables upgrading these low-cost materials into high-value nanomaterials such as graphene, carbon nanotubes, and nanosilica. This transformation multiplies economic value. Graphene derived from graphite can be worth over $100,000, 0 cents per kilogram in purified form. By localizing the refinement and functionalization processes, countries can retain economic gains and reduce reliance on commodity exports. This strategy converts extractive industries into advanced manufacturing sectors. Australia can upgrade its abundant silica sand into nanosilicon for lithium-ion battery anodes. It is like refining crude oil into designer perfumes instead of selling it as fuel. Graphene and other 2D materials exhibit extraordinary properties: ultra-high electron mobility, mechanical strength, and flexibility. These features are revolutionizing fields such as flexible electronics, next-gen transistors, and energy storage. Countries investing in graphene foundries and device fabrication infrastructure position themselves as next-gen silicon economies. Such advancements create new export industries, patent opportunities, and advanced talent pipelines. The move from mining graphite to producing graphene electronics shifts the economy from volume to value. South Korea invested heavily in graphene manufacturing and now leads in flexible display technology for wearables. Moving from graphite mining to graphene electronics is like turning cotton into smart fabrics that charge your phone. Nano-devices enable early disease detection through biosensing, lab-on-a-chip platforms, and nanoparticle-enhanced imaging. These miniaturized systems allow decentralized diagnostics, reducing the burden on national healthcare systems and improving outcomes. Nations that produce and export medical nanodevices can access a global, fast-growing health tech market. Local nanobio innovation ecosystems can attract biotech investments, partnerships, and skilled migration. This sector combines high public value with significant private sector return. Israel's Nanotech injected diagnostic chips have led to rapid COVID-19 detection technologies exported globally. Nanodiagnostics are like molecular detectives that can identify disease from a drop of blood, faster than any human lab. Nanomaterials such as titanium dioxide, carbon nanomaterials, and metal organic frameworks are key to solar cells, hydrogen storage, and water purification. These technologies support the transition to net zero economies, offering countries competitive leadership in clean energy solutions. Countries with natural deposits of rare metals can integrate nanotechnology to produce catalysts for CO2 capture, fuel cells, or photocatalytic devices. This creates a virtuous cycle, turning mining into green innovation rather than ecological burden. Governments investing in nano-environmental industries can leap ahead in sustainability metrics and green export markets. China uses rare earth elements to manufacture nanocatalysts for electric vehicles and carbon-neutral hydrogen. Nanomaterials for green tech are like precision tools turning dirty energy into clean gold. National investment in nanofabrication facilities, such as clean rooms and e-beam lithography labs, enables local prototyping and production of nano-devices. These hubs accelerate research to product cycles and foster public-private partnerships. Regions with fabrication capacity can attract foreign direct investment, FDI, from multinationals seeking advanced prototyping environments. This moves countries up the value chain from material extraction to IP generation and device manufacturing. It transforms industrial economies into high-tech innovators. Singapore's Institute of Microelectronics helped launch over 100 startups by supporting nanofabrication needs. A nanofab center is like a 21st-century blacksmith shop, where raw elements are shaped into world-changing technologies. The nanotechnology sector is IP-heavy, with breakthroughs frequently leading to patents, licenses, and spin-offs. Countries that nurture research universities and incentivize patenting benefit from royalty flows and technology-based startups. Filing international nanotech patents translates into global influence, attracting funding and academic collaboration. Strategic IP ownership in quantum dots, nanophotonics, or nanoelectronics gives economic leverage far beyond the lab. Thus, even resource-poor nations can become knowledge-rich powerhouses. The U.S. National Nanotechnology Initiative, NNNI, generated over 9,000 nanotech patents and hundreds of companies since 2000. Patents in nanotech are like seeds that grow into industries, even in economic deserts. Nanomaterials enhance military technology via lightweight armor, stealth coatings, nanoscale sensors, and drone miniaturization. Owning the production capacity of these materials reduces reliance on foreign supply chains for critical defense components. Nations with control over strategic nanomaterials like boron nitride or hafnium oxide gain bargaining power in geopolitical and technological arenas. A national nanotech strategy ensures dual-use benefits for both civilian and defense applications. Security and sovereignty in the 21st century will depend on atomic-level technological control. The U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, funds nanotechnology for battlefield sensors and quantum navigation. Mastering nanotech for defense is like discovering the invisible ink in the new era of digital warfare. For economies to transition into the nanotech century, human capital must be developed across universities, vocational schools, and online platforms. Multidisciplinary training in physics, materials science, chemistry, and AI is essential to operate and innovate in nanofields. Countries that develop national nanotech education programs create a future-proof workforce. This attracts global talent, prevents brain drain, and ensures innovation stays domestic. Without workforce development, even resource-rich nations remain technologically dependent. India's Nano Mission includes nano-education fellowships and dedicated university centers to build national expertise. Building a nano-literate workforce is like teaching people how to program atoms instead of just digging them up. Nanotechnology unlocks entrepreneurial opportunities in coatings, electronics, medicine, agriculture, and sensors. Governments can support startups via innovation hubs, public grants, or equity participation, fostering a culture of nano-entrepreneurship. Products like nano-fertilizers, antimicrobial packaging, or graphene inks can scale quickly with proper incubation. Countries that lower barriers to entry and support R&D to market pipelines will lead in high-margin exports. Nano-based SMEs become national champions of the knowledge economy. Canada's Nano One Materials scaled from lab to NASDAQ-listed company by commercializing battery nanomaterials. A nano startup is like a seed crystal. Tiny at first, but ready to grow into a billion-dollar structure under the right conditions.